So, welcome to a reality check. Thank you very much, Elliot, for joining me today. This is actually, for everyone at home who's going to be watching this in the future, this is the first time I've met Elliot today, and we've known each other for all of about 16 seconds. So how are you today?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm honoured to be on here with you. So thank you for inviting me.
No problems at all. Well, I wanted to get back into doing live shows and to basically going into the reality check, going into what's real, the awkward, the uncomfortable, in the aim to help as many people as we can. And I saw your profile and thought, oh, he looks interesting. I really like it. I want to chat to him. I want to see what this ADHD coach is all about. And then, in true ADHD style, you were late for you were late for our stream by about 17 minutes. So I've been sat here tapping my nails, being like, is he coming? Is this his thing? I'm not really sure. But you know what? Most people have a big problem with time. So I'm not going to hate you. I still love you dearly. And thank you very much for joining me. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, to start off with, believe it or not, time blindness I didn't even know was a thing until recently. So I've always been really shocking with time, and I'm sure this will resonate with anybody that's got ADHD, where they realise it or something they've been thinking about recently. But yeah, to put a name to it makes it, I suppose, almost acceptable. The fact that I'm 17 minutes late is mad, because I have a thing with 7s and 17s, believe it or not. But yeah, I say, well, obviously, my name's Elliot Browne. I'm an ADHD business coach, consultant, and mentor. Also, I do speaking as well and podcasting. I found myself working with more and more ADHD business owners. And did you know that over 60% of the most successful self-made millionaires and billionaires on the planet have ADHD? So there's a reason why we're very impulsive. We like to take risks. We like things that release the dopamine levels because we lack the dopamine, and that sort of means that you're 300% more likely to set up a business if you're ADHD. I'm not quite sure the percentages I'm looking at the moment of also just as many reasons why you set up as just as many reasons as why you can fail. But we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. So I do actually have ADHD myself, or ADHD. Somebody called it actually and said, let's not add the word disorder on the end, and which I appreciated. But the idea of, I'm an entrepreneur, and there's lots of things in business that I've struggled with, and I'm quite particular in the way that I like to do things, and I'm very kind of not OCD to that level at all, but very particular in the way I like to show up. I do have a lateness thing, which is quite interesting. So I have a rule of 3, and my rule of 3 really helps me. So if someone's late, it's okay. It happens. If someone's late again, that also happens. If they're late a 3rd time, I'm like, okay, this is what we'll do now. But then beyond that, there is no more. And the reason is because there's no respect for time. And even if there's problems and disorders, I see it as it's not meant to happen, and it's okay. Yeah. You don't have to fall out with people. You don't have to hate people, but you do have to have some kind of boundary in place to work with people. And this is what I think. It's not about an absolute yes or an absolute no. It's like, how do we get to work together? How do we get to spend time together? How do we get to do this project or whatever it is? But you've got to appreciate that people aren't just you. They're not just exactly the same as you, and they're going to show up in the same way. They're going to show up in a different way, and one that may challenge you, or one that may help you in some way to understand something you didn't previously understand. So even though you were late today, I am very good with patience, because I do have my rule of 3. So do you know what? This is going to be the subject, and I'm going to make him talk about his lateness.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? We decided this last night, and I had a call of this today, and I probably should have left myself a bit more time, but I wanted to do it. Asked me, and I'm jumping at the opportunity to do as many interviews and things at the moment. But you're absolutely right. You have to find a way around that, and I definitely usually tend to have. Listen, I'm 17 minutes late. It could have been a lot worse. I used to be. I used to leave for airports when I'm supposed to be getting to them. I've had planes, literally, they're calling me in the airport before. And that's a number of years ago. I've definitely got better since then. But But it's all about time blocking, isn't it? It's about having things that remind you as well. And I didn't have a reminder. That's my bad. I won't make that mistake again. But it is about reminders. It's about things that are going to spark. I know trigger's got a negative connotation. I don't have that, but it's about things that are going to remind you. Smartwatches and things like that I recommend. My phone works really well for me. I've got alarms going off and reminders because it's all right time blocking, but unless you've got something to remind you, it's just another coloured task that's in your calendar, right?
Totally. And we're guilty of that. We're so guilty of blocking things out and being like, yeah, I'm all organized. And then you walk away from where you are organized and you become disorganized once again back into your normal life. So having those reminders, I feel, is a very good thing. And I never used to do them. I've now changed the setting on my Google where I get the notifications 10 minutes before I've got a meeting. Yes. I put reminders on my phone if I need to do anything around the house. And I find I'm a lot more consistent when I have those reminders. I don't see it as a hindrance. I don't feel like my mind is failing me in any way from not remembering. It's just that I need that little extra support, because I too can be like, oh yeah, I'm doing that today, and then I'm doing that, and I'm in that email box. Oh, I need some lunch. Oh, the cat needs feeding. Oh my God, it's raining outside. It's like, whoa, there's a lot going on in my mind. And I feel like those extra important reminders really do serve their purpose. So I wanted to kind of just do a little background as well. So
yeah, please do. Fire away. Ask anything you like.
Yeah. So I saw you on LinkedIn the other day, and then obviously I messaged you, you got back to me, and then I said, okay, we've never spoken, but like, yeah, do you want to do a call one Wednesday? And you're like, yeah, tomorrow. And I was like, oh, I was like, really? Tomorrow? Okay, let's do it tomorrow. And I was in a power mode yesterday. I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to make sure the house is clear, make sure I've got good internet. Let me go for this. So I decided to do it. And I feel I needed that push as well, because I can also get distracted, even though I've done a million interviews online and I love doing them. Bringing it back to LinkedIn, I've not been on social media for some time because it's mental health. So I came off Facebook and Instagram. I don't have TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter. I haven't had them since 2018, and I've just been solely existing in the world without social media. But now I'm bringing myself back to having my YouTube channel and also being on LinkedIn. I've decided to do two platforms, one for personal and one for work, essentially. And just to exist, but also to reframe it so it's a better way for my mental health. So you being an ADHD expert in your area, what kind of tips could you give someone regarding social media or overuse or kind of managing that? Because it can get quite distracting in a workplace. So what do you think you could offer as by way of a tip for someone with ADHD?
One thing I would say to do is we have probably, and this speaking to your audience and you directly as well, we've all looked at social media for the last couple of years, more than we probably ever done before. I mean, I never really looked at social media before 4 years ago. I never had to use it in the businesses that I was involved with or growing. It was very physical. It was very much people to people businesses, import, export. It was relationships, no websites, no social media. We didn't have that sort of stuff. It wasn't because they were old fashioned businesses. It just worked that way, and the way the business worked. In the last few years, we've looked at all sorts. In the last 2 years, we have probably looked at things that are relevant to us more than we've ever done before, because it's been made so apparent to us. Mm-hmm. Stop looking at it. Stop looking at other people's shit, because that is all it's doing is making you think, oh, I should be doing that. I should be doing this. Oh, that's a good idea. Let me take a screenshot of that. And don't get me wrong. I do it, right? I still do it, but I do it a lot less. I had to withdraw earlier part of the year. I even withdrew from speaking a bit on Clubhouse, and I've sort of become a bit of an audio influencer on Clubhouse and known on there, and around ADHD as well now. So I would definitely say stop looking at other people's stuff. If you're going to go look at it, look at things that are relevant maybe, but don't look at all these marketing tips and all these other things, because most people don't have the basics sorted out right now. They don't have your message, and the message is about you. The message that you should be putting in there is what you bring to the party, what you're all about, what your experience is. So you've got all of the theories, you've got it all there. It's easy to find, but figure out your message first, what it is that you do, what you want people to know about, and the sort of people that you want to resonate with. And dare I say, niche on that. Because when you find the right niche, it's massive. and you never realized it was there. So socials, I would definitely look focus on one platform, whatever it is you mostly enjoy, particularly if you're an ADHD brainer and you're listening to this, which, if we both are, there's a fair chance that lots of people we know are as well. So go for the one that you enjoy genuinely. That's the one you enjoy. So if it's Instagram, you're on a lot of that, you're on TikTok, then do some stuff on there. Once that works, duplicate that content. Don't mess about it too much, and just try it on another platform and see how that performs. Of course, you need to start doing some stuff. That would be where I would start, and then just grow from there. And as you're doing, stick to those two platforms. YouTube is going to be big in the next 12 months. I was at EMC last week. And it's all
EMC, did you say? What was that?
EMC, Entrepreneurs Marketing Conference. So Einstein marketer Matt Wilson, friend of mine, runs this great conference. There's about 750 to 1,000 people there over 3 days. We heard a lot of things that we already know. I was taking things that I could tweak this time rather than going, oh, that's a great idea, let's go for that and try that out. But YouTube is linked to Google. Let's face it, it's one of the biggest search engines there are. So start doing content there.
Yeah, it's such, it's such a big platform for me. And I think I use it more than I use anything else. And I think more than I've ever used anything else, because there's an educational, there's an entertainment, I go on there for comedy, I go on there for music. So I use it in multi ways. I'm not just Spotify for music and, one thing for this and one thing for that. I'm more about, I use YouTube for everything really. And I also pay for the premium subscription. Because I prefer without adverts. So I have it in my life so much, and I felt like dedicated. I'm good on video. I like talking. This is my thing. So it's, being a speaker and showing up online. For me, I wanted to, hone in on what my niche is. I'm really good when it gets awkward. That's like the most comfortable. I don't know why, but that's the space. If it's really awkward, I'm like, okay, I can deal with this, because I know that if I deal with it today instead of pushing it away, there's healing to be done. And I'm on a healing journey. It's like, I want to heal. I want to, make sure that I can get the best out of myself. So by me being in the awkward moments, I've made it a really good space for me to be in. And this is where I have conversations. So it's cool. But the idea of me thinking, all right, if I go to see somebody that wants to help me expand my business, they're like, but you have to have an Instagram, and you have to have a Facebook, and you have to have a TikTok. And I think we've got this whole conversation around what we have to have wrong. I think what we need to, like you said, niche is so powerful, and it's so important to actually have a niche product or a niche for you to go into and to stick with that. Do you think there's anything out there that, if there's anybody out there that's dealing with personal brands or that's helping somebody else become who they want to be online, have you got any messages for the people who are the team behind the influencers or the people on social media that you could share a message with them to try and get them not to push too much on all platforms?
Have I got somebody? Oh, we lost you there for a second. You're back. So just reframe that question again. Sorry.
So if there's an influencer marketing company, or if there's a branding company or a coach that's behind an influencer or behind a speaker or a person of influence, these are the people that tend to push people to their limits and say, yeah, you've got to do this for the views or for the social kicks. Have you got any messages from an ADHD coach to someone working with a potential ADHD influencer or key person of influence, the team around them supporting them? Would you give them any advice on kind of how they could deal with somebody who's got ADHD and why, what they could play with?
Yeah, get everybody that doesn't do so other things that you can't do, won't do, and don't do, as soon as you possibly can, get them to do all those things, because the only things that we should be doing, and we are very, very good at our superpowers, although people in the community, you might not like that, but our abilities are the things that excite us, the things that release that dopamine, that make us want to do something, that get us excited in something. It can wane. And the problem is it can disappear, that excitement, that sort of enthusiasm, that motivation for doing what it is that we love to do can stop if of course, can sort of, let's say, dumb down when we have to do the things that don't excite us and we don't want to do. And then we think every reason in the world not to do those things. So if you can't do that now because you're not in a position, and you're watching this, listening to this, and you're not in the position to be able to do that, then figure out a way and a time frame that in 3 months' time, if you need to pay somebody to do that, you need to outsource it, use that as your initiative, as your motivator to find somebody that can do those things that you can't do. And it might not be right now, but 3 months passes very quickly. And if you've got something to aim for, you know it's going to cost you £1,000 a month or £2,000 a month, whatever it is. I mean, people might be going, now I can't afford that. You can in 3 months' time, if you know that's going to allow you to do the things you love to do, like this. You know, this is content. You're creating content right here. Get on podcasts, get on shows, be recorded. You haven't got to think about creating anything because Nat's doing all the work for you. She's asking the questions.
There you go. In my humble space here, doing absolutely nothing but all the things I love, which is just talking to randoms.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm really good at talking to random people. Yeah. No, it did make sense. And it's basically, I think you answered it from a slightly different perspective, but it does. It makes sense. It's like concentrate on what you love. And there's a company, I'm not sure it's a company, it's a book I got called Sweet Spot. It's about literally understanding what your sweet spots are in your individual teams.
Yeah.
You've got working around you, find out what they love doing and keep them to that, and each person stick to what they love. And then there's always someone that's going to need to bend a little bit, but the predominant time should not be spent on things they don't love, especially with people with ADHD. Then you've got really stressed and depressed and overwhelmed people. If you're doing something you don't love, no one ever wants to do that at all. So you've got a platform you're a coach and mentor for people with ADHD. What else do you do? What else can we push out there and let people know more about you? And tell us a little bit more about your Clubhouse as well. I'm interested.
Oh yeah, well, have you been on Clubhouse, Nat? Have you ever used it?
I was on Clubhouse last year and I stopped. I enjoyed it, but I don't know why I stopped. I feel like I need to go back on because I'm an audio girl myself.
Well, it was a time drainer at the time, you know, when it first sort of kicked off. It was at the back end of the pandemic, and so because it was the back end of that, it was like people needed something to do and connected. And I can tell you, in 2 years, I've connected with the best international network of business owners, entrepreneurs, advisors, mentors, all of that. We all mentor and help each other and talk. So it's been a great platform for that. Of course, LinkedIn now has LinkedIn audio. So that's these are push still. We need to get people to get behind LinkedIn audio. And all the creators have had it.
Tell us a little bit more about LinkedIn audio. What is that? Is that like a Clubhouse?
Yeah, so LinkedIn audio is in essence what Clubhouse kicked off. LinkedIn has taken on, and there's a lot of creators which are available to creators. So if you've got creator mode switched on LinkedIn, there's a fair likelihood you'll have the ability to do LinkedIn lives. The problem is their notifications aren't really set up correctly. They did a big push at the beginning of the year, a load of creators working with it. But in essence, what LinkedIn audio is it's a virtual room. So you'll have speakers that are on a virtual stage, and you've all got icons, which are, avatars, images of you, which is the same as the one on LinkedIn, whatever your picture is. And there will be at the top of they'll be the stage, and you have a line, and then below that are the audience. And so you are able to listen to that. And if you're lucky enough, or you know somebody, or you've got something to add, they'll bring you up onto stage. When you're brought up onto the virtual stage, which is the top part where the speakers are. So imagine looking at a real stage. It's like the speakers are there waiting to talk, all sat on chairs in a way, I suppose. They don't all talk at the same time. Everybody tends to take their turns in speaking. But if you've got some value to add, or some experience, or something to bring to the conversation, or a question, then you've got the chance to do that to the speakers. And Richard Branson did one the other day. Gary Vee has done them. We've done LinkedIn audio rooms as well. And it's a great way of people to see you from a different level. So they might not even see your profile, because what you put out there still only go out to a small amount. LinkedIn is probably better than a lot of channels, to be fair. But it's a place for people to be able to see you, listen to your voice. And I can genuinely tell you now, the authenticity that comes through from the human voice, you'd think it would come through a lot more in person, but we're so used to seeing everybody's videos and pictures on social, and we all know that half of it is fake. That the authenticity of voice when you're speaking, you can hear whether somebody's stammering, or they don't really know what they're talking about, or whether it's something that's textbook. And so when you do speak to or hear from somebody, you can hear that authenticity. You want to connect with them. You want to see what they're doing a little bit more. So it's a great way of sort of growing that network and getting yourself out there as well.
Wow, I love that. That was a good plug for LinkedIn audio, which I know nothing about. So this is another thing I've got to do, but at least it's on LinkedIn. So I don't mind putting the effort into is it going to consolidate the platform I'm on. I feel more comfortable and I don't feel distracted. So that's a really good tip. Thank you very much. And so you're on Clubhouse. So what is your name on Clubhouse? Where can we find you?
It's Elliot. It's Elliot Browne on Clubhouse as well. Yeah, so everywhere you can either find Elliot C Browne and put ADHD Business Coach. You'll find it on Clubhouse. If you are on Clubhouse and you don't know me, where have you been? You must have been under a rock. I'm known as Elliot Browne, London Town, orange background, because I've got an orange background, which sort of follows me everywhere. Something that actually happened from Clubhouse, because you want to stand out in a sort of an audio audience. So that's where I'm on there, and I'm on there every morning, 6:30 till 9 o'clock in the morning, usually on stage. Breakfast with winners, which is been set up by three guys that are on Clubhouse, and I knew one of them from before, Ashley, Paul, and James, and literally it's a whole community that we're part of, and that community. You know, I met a lot of them at EMC. Some people came up to me and said, "You're Elliot, aren't you?" Which is, you know, it used to be a bit strange. Now it's just sort of become quite normal. Not because I'm famous by any stretch of the imagination, but they've heard my voice, they've heard me speak. And since really opening up and understanding that I'd been helping people with ADHD, and actually looking back into my clients actually over the last 4 years on the consulting side, they've all had ADHD, although I don't think they realised it. And now I look at it and I understand it a lot more. Because I've only discovered this in the last 18 to 20 months, and sort of tried to understand it, and then thought, actually, what I do actually works for ADHD business owners more than anybody else, because I suppose that's the way my brain works. So it resonates more. You know, the systems, the processes I use to try not to be too late, but actually time blocking and those things, in clarity and actioning things, you know, all of that is because I've had to do it over the years, you know. So now I'm helping other people to do that. So it's a beautiful thing, because it's a community that I definitely fit into a lot better than I have done in a lot of communities in my life, that's for sure.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I want to keep all of my reality checks quite short. My idea is to do them every Wednesday, and to have someone different every Wednesday. And then hopefully we can trickle it out over the next week, and any top tips, and people can find support. And if anybody wants to come online and also talk about their awkward moments or vulnerabilities, areas that are a little bit kind of not spoken about in the corporate world, this is exactly where I sit. So if it makes you feel uncomfortable, embarrassed, shame, vulnerable, hello, welcome. You can do a Where's Nat At chat and have a reality check on LinkedIn. So Elliot, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nat. It's lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So you stay there. For everyone else back at home who's watching, whether you're watching now or you're watching in the future, thank you very much for joining in. Every Wednesday, I will be here doing a reality check at 1 p.m. In European time set, and then 12 p.m. UK time as well, because I'm over in Ibiza. So yes, I'm an hour ahead of you, Elliot, at the moment.
Very nice.
Which is good. But I will see everybody next week. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.